Jimmy, come over. So, round of applause for Jimmy, please. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Here, just use that for
Clicker. Perfect. Mike? Cool. All right. Can I be super vulnerable with you guys for a minute? Bring some realness. I think most of us have been lied to most of our lives. How many of you guys in this room have been told if you work hard, you can have anything that you want? I don't know about you, but I grew up and I watched my parents, and they worked really hard and they don't have much of anything. My dad was a union carpenter. I watched my mom go to night school to become a nurse, and they've got a small union pension. They don't have a whole lot of anything. What I'm going to talk to you guys about tonight is consistency. So hard work is a lie, consistency is the game. If you guys have consistency in doing the small things really, really well over a long period of time, that is where you're going to win. That is where you're going to achieve what you desire. Now, before we dive in, I have one request. I know that most of you guys, the biggest thing that we are most consistent with are these phones. Right? So I promise to bring the fire. If you guys promise to stay consistent in terms of your focus, I got you. So let's lose the consistency here, and I'm going to bring it for you guys. So before we dive in, this is what I got. I'll give you guys a little bit of background here. I bought my first multifamily at 23 years old. This is going to be all the real estate stuff that I give you. I promise to bring it afterwards if you guys have questions. Bought my first unit for $140,000. I think most of the units in this area are probably trading for way more than that per unit, let alone for a 4-unit building. I got super lucky. I forget who told me in the back about the microphone. I'm bringing it back up. I heard that. I got you. I founded Lion Property Group at 26 years old. I caught a bad review at Fidelity Investments. I had a manager that told me at least 25 times in my year interview that I was fucking average. She couldn't believe how confident that I was. So I literally walked back to my desk and I texted my former partner, which I'll tell you about in a little bit, and we launched a property management company. From there, I was a corporate dropout by the time that I was 28 years old. So I call that digging my tunnel outside of Shawshank, because I was doing the little things consistently over a long period of time. So they used to call me side hustle at Fidelity, because just like Gary Vaynerchuk talks to you guys about, literally nights and weekends, I would leave at 5 p.m. and I worked till 11 p.m. at night. And on the weekends, my tenants would joke with me. They're like, bro, listen, you're on the garage roof in a wife beater and a bandana on the weekend, and then I see you walking to work in a 3-piece suit during the week. How's that work? I said, I got bigger goals than where I'm at, so I got to bring it. I got my future family, my legacy counting on me, so I got to bring it. Every single day, it's the small things, like I said, over a long period of time that's going to bring you guys what you want, consistency. So first 3 purchases I made, $1 million worth of real estate, $15K out of pocket. Did I get lucky in a rising market? Yeah, but I had to figure out how to operate a business. My first multifamily, that first Christmas that I bought it, I was in eviction court 2 days before Christmas. And I think that's where a lot of people get wrapped up. They forget that this is a business. So they let emotion get involved. So if you guys have listened to Warren Buffett, it's a series of rules that you must build in order to be successful in anything that you do. So as you guys invest and you buy these properties, whether it's flipping or running a BRRRR, whatever it may be, develop a set of rules that you guys live by. And that's where you're gonna find success. These are my 4 main companies right here. I have way more LLCs that probably drive my accountant insane, or definitely drive my accountant insane, particularly this time of year. Core business is the property management business. I'm gonna tell you that so many people sleep on the amount of data that you receive when operating a property management business. We have 900 doors under management currently. The goal is to be at 1,200 by year end. We're very focused on moving into Eastern Connecticut and building a book down there. And the 10-year goal is 5,000 doors in 5 communities. So we just rolled out EOS. Is anybody familiar with Traction? Yeah. Oh, this is good. All right, I got a couple of head nods. I was gonna say, all right, this is really good. So we just rolled out Traction, and that's our goal. Second company is Lion Kings. So the flipping company pairs so nicely with the property management company. As you guys build what you're working on, focus on vertical integration. This is where you're really gonna add the rocket fuel to the fire here. So we are very easily able to integrate a flipping business into our management business. And I can talk about that later in the Q&A. Next, recently launched Coldwell Capital. So I think you guys will like this one. Kolbo is Kolbo, Kings of Lowball Offers. So if you guys are looking for a steady return with a trusted operator, I got you. We leverage this fund to invest in our flips, and this is our bread and butter. This is what we do every day. Lastly, what we're working to blow up this year is the retail offering. So I've got a team of 7 realtors, and what we're about to bring to the market, nobody's seen. But we're starting to leverage the data that we generate in our property management business. And I was talking to Bruno about it earlier. I thought his head was going to pop off with the first pillar. So we got a 3-pillar offering, but we're about to bring it. We're going to be the number one team, the number one sales team in Rhode Island within the next 3 years. So Nathan Clark, if you're watching this video, I got you, bro. Take a look at this slide. You guys know this guy? Oh, you guys, look, you guys already got it, right? So probably the view that you guys are more used to seeing about Tom Brady now, he's retired, right? This is gonna be one of the most consistent guys that I watched growing up. This is a man that was drafted in the 6th round. Everybody told him he was never gonna make it. So he had to wake up every day and get after it. And after he won his first Super Bowl, he didn't stop. He stayed consistent. He continued to get after it. He developed TB12. He focused on his diet to make sure that he could play as long as he wanted to. Shoot, you know how I know he's consistent? You guys see the party after they won the Super Bowl in Tampa Bay? Sorry if that's a sore subject in Boston. That dude was wasted off for a couple of shots of tequila. You know why? Because he was consistent in his approach. Because he wasn't used to that, because he takes care of himself. So, anybody remember getting the first Patriots jersey? We're not a Patriots fans? All right, so we get a couple. Man, I can tell you, I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with the Rhode Island stores, because I think they're out of business now, but I can remember my mom, I was in 8th grade when Tom Brady took over the starting job from Drew Bledsoe. And I can remember walking into that store and feeling that jersey and getting so excited to wear that jersey every single Friday. And then I wear it on Sunday too, probably unwashed, but hey, right? Just super excited to wear that jersey. And where that translated to, my dad never let me grow up, or never let me play football growing up, but I played a ton of baseball. I used to play 100 games a season. But from wearing that Tom Brady jersey to wearing my own jersey, I took a ton of pride in that, and I took a ton of pride in my consistency and my work ethic. And I never made a trip into Williamsport to this year. So now I can share that with my son. So this is one of the highlights. And I'll share a little bit about that in a minute. But one of the stories that I want to share with you guys about consistency is I was never the best baseball player. I had to work really fucking hard. Why we went to Williamsport? My hometown was in the Little League World Series this year, Smithfield, Rhode Island. They'd never been there before. The team that made it closest to last time, I was on. I'm old as shit now. Right? So it was really important for me to get down there. But I wasn't drafted to that team originally. You see, back during the academic school year, I was on the junior high team. And I didn't realize who was watching, but I didn't make the junior high team in 6th or 7th grade. I barely made it on in 8th grade. Man, I can't tell you how many times I saw that cut list and I missed it. And this was my sport, playing 100 games a summer, and I kept getting cut. So what I did when I made that team, they would bus us across town, we'd get to the field, then we have to change on the side of the field, then we'd have to get on there, warm up, and wait for the coaches to come. What I did is I found a friend, Pat Butler, and we'd go out, and I wanted the starting catching job. If you guys can't tell by my athletic thighs, like that I spent a lot of time behind home plate. And I used to just make throws down to second base after we warmed up until the coaches would call us in, and I never realized who was watching. So when the All-Star team came to play on that team that made it to Tinton Falls, New Jersey, we were one game away from going to the World Series. We were one of the top 8 teams in the country. There was a kid that got drafted to the team, he decided to go play hockey. Guess who got the phone call? I did. Consistency. Because it's just like Eric Thomas talks about. A real man, when he's in the dark, he's putting in work. Too many people in our culture today are focused on putting in the work when the lights are on. But where you guys are looking to go and what you guys want to achieve, if you want to achieve greatness, it's about putting in the work when nobody's looking. It's about putting in the work when you're tired. It's about consistently putting in the work over time. And that's how you're going to achieve anything that you desire. Now, I want you guys to look at this next slide. If you guys are ever curious what I looked like without a beard, this is like me without a beard and 40 pounds less. So I don't know if I'll get back there, but this is one of the most powerful quotes I've ever came across in my life. because I always saw myself as this kid. I was a chubby kid with glasses growing up. I got some childhood trauma related to that, man. I've spent 5 years in therapy trying to unwind all this stuff so I could become the best version of myself. And a lot of entrepreneurs won't talk about that stuff. But I'm gonna tell you, like when we look at this title and we talk about who, not how, I was talking to Bruno before. He's talking about like, surrounding the people that you want, or finding the people to surround yourself with, and that's part of it. But who are you gonna become in order to attract those people? Who are you gonna become as a leader in order to make sure that they show up every day and lead them and provide them what they're looking for? It starts with you. So when I go back to this quote, it's one of the most powerful things I've ever heard in therapy. My therapist's name is Erin, she saved my life. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. So honestly, if this 22-year-old kid ever knew the hell that he was about to go through based on this relationship, man. But I dove deep in my faith because I was raised to believe that God's never gonna give you a cross that you cannot bear. So this was a huge lesson for me. From the 5 years in family court to the multiple criminal charges, or false criminal charges that I had to beat, to judges threatening me with jail time, I've been through it. Fortunately, I didn't find my way to jail, but I beat it. But I put in the work. But I'm gonna tell you, it was real fucking hard. Real hard. Because if I didn't go through it and I didn't bear my cross, I don't have days like this, where on a whim I get to drive down to Williamsport and I don't have to worry about anything because I put in the work and I was consistent with it. This is the man that I found to help me out. So I told you guys that I worked at Fidelity, right? So when I left, I wrote an email to 200 of my closest friends that still lives on in infamy. Like when I left, the CFO told people if they continued to talk about it, there would be no bonus pool for the year. So what I did was, I wrote a nice email to lyrics to Juicy by Notorious B.I.G. and I laid the groundwork of if you guys want to drop out of corporate America and build your own business, here's exactly how I did it. So I had to find mentors. And let's face it, we're all a bunch of cheap real estate investors, so in the beginning, you don't want to pay for it. Now what I pay for coaching is more than most realtors make in a year, and I wouldn't trade it for the world because my coach helps me prepare for anything. He's 10 years ahead of me. He's already made the mistakes that I could potentially make over the next 10 years as I build out my business. But this was the first dude that I found. Anybody know who this is? There we go, Andy Frisella. So the biggest thing that I learned about Andy Frisella, he talks about the Power 5 list, right? So this is what people sleep on. If you want to be great, you got to do the small things over and over and over and over. And that's how you're going to build what you want to build. You're going to be able to build something at scale. You need to get really good at the simple things every day. So when I wake up every day, I have a Power 5 list. And it's changed over the years. But if I could tell you guys to pick up any habit from this man, develop the skill of personal excellence, and live and die by that Power 5. So examples of what I include in my Power 5 currently. I read 20 pages of a book every single day. I've got a library I can trade ideas from you from almost any business book. And if you guys are looking to pick up a good one, the best book that I've read and I'm almost done with right now is Choose Your Enemies Wisely by Patrick Bet-David. Dude's an absolute savage, but that is literally a toolbox that you can take components out of that book and put to work tomorrow. Second component, I get my ass in the gym. I can't tell you, like, if you want to get this right, you got to get this right. So no matter what it is that you want to do, I like to lift weights. I hate running cardio, which you can probably tell. But you got to work on your body. If you're not taking care of yourself in terms of what you eat and how you move, you're not going to be able to get this right to accomplish the things that you want. Next thing, you guys are going to think I'm crazy for this. 3-minute cold plunge at 41 degrees. But that shit keeps me cool, calm, and collected throughout the day. Then I take a 5-minute cold shower. I'll read scripture, and this is over 5 now. And then I'll meditate. But the goal here is that before I leave my house, well, I have to leave my house to go to the gym and do hard stuff, but when I come home, before I leave my house and I start my day, I've already done so many more harder things than what's gonna come across my plate for the day, and I can handle anything. Callousing your mind, like we talk about David Goggins. So if you guys wanna get good at anything, callous your mind so that you can handle anything. But I started with Andy Frisella. One of the things that Andy talks about, because I would imagine we have a bunch of entrepreneurs in this room based on all the folks that I heard get up before me, about 8% of our population are entrepreneurs. About 1% are successful entrepreneurs. What I'm going to share with you tonight is the sauce of what I leveraged to help me surround myself with the right team, but also become the right person to be followed. Leadership KPIs are super, super important. So people talk about KPIs in their business in terms of the numbers that move the bottom line. Leadership KPIs are how you develop to become the leader that's worth being followed. So it's really 3 core components. It's going to be mind, body, and spirit. So talked about mind, it's books, podcasts, YouTube. But getting your mind right and developing or building the knowledge and the skill set in order to bring it with you every single day. Because it's not just experiential learning in what you do, but how do you prep yourself to be prepared for what's about to come across your plate. Body, diet and workout. I mean, you guys saw the chubby kid with glasses, right? It took me a long time to figure out how to make it work. In the beginning, I thought it was calories, right? And then I figured out macros. So if you guys haven't come across macros yet, macronutrients, that helped me out tremendously. So hopefully that can help somebody in this room. Because it's not just about cutting calories, because as we age, I'm 35 years old now, but if you look at people that live to older ages and stayed healthy, most of them lift weights, right? So if you're gonna lift weights, you probably need a lot of protein. So it's not just about the calories you eat, but what is the content of the calories that you eat? And I know that we're at a real estate meetup and some of you are giving me some strange faces of like, what the fuck is this dude talking about? But if you're not doing this stuff, you're selling yourself short. You gotta take care of yourself, mind, body, and spirit. And I'll tell you, I'll dive into one other mentor that I have. I was with him this past week. But I tell you what, the people that have faith, I don't care what you believe in, but find something to believe in. Because that faith's gonna carry you through any hard time that you come across. I talk about some of the hard stuff that I went through. If I didn't have my belief in what I believe in, I probably wouldn't have made it, truthfully. We talk about Andy Frisella, right? This is the single best mental recalibration tool that was ever developed. And everybody in this room can do this. You gotta want it though. So if you guys talk to my team, when I tackled this and I started December 8th of last year, I was a completely different human being. Actually, you can talk to PQ in the room, my video guy. PQ will tell you. It's been wild, man.
How many times you tried? How many times you tried?
I knocked it out the first time. So first time I ever did 75 hard was during COVID. I'm gonna be straight up honest with you, that shit was hard. So when I founded Lion Property Management, I had a partner. COVID hit. And we were already kind of going our separate ways. I was spending 12 to 14 hours. Anybody own property during COVID? Like going into it? That was scary as shit. You don't know what's going on. I know in Rhode Island, the governor shuts down the state. We're trying to figure out what's going on. Governor's literally on TV telling tenants not to pay the rent. So now I got 100 plus clients calling me. I got the tenants trying to figure it out. We're trying to figure out the safe harbor program, rent relief, you name it. 12 to 14 hour days. My partner calls me, is like, yo, dude, this is great. What do you mean? I'm taking 3-hour naps every afternoon, bro. Man, I gotta be honest, like I hit a low point beginning of COVID before I found this program. This is gonna be uncomfortable for me to share, but it's real and honest, so I hope that somebody gains something out of this. First week of COVID, I put down a handle of Stoli Raz, straight up. Second week, same thing. Third week, I'm like, fuck this. Because one of the things on 75 Hard is no alcohol, right? So it is a live hard year. Most people think it's just the first 75 days.
The second is the whole phase.
That's it. If you guys truly want to develop discipline and become the best version of yourself, this is the program. It costs you nothing. It costs you, like, I think, $8 a month for the app. This is going to callous your mind at a level and help you develop at a rate that no other program I ever came across will. So 75 Hard is 2 45-minute workouts. One has to be outdoors. You have to follow a diet, no alcohol, 1 gallon of water, read 10 pages, and take a progress pic. Honestly, that progress pic is uncomfortable as shit. But I tell you what, when you get to the end, you're like, whoa, that was me on day 1, this is me on day 75. This program is it. I can tell you, like, I started my mother-in-law, she's like, you're not gonna be able to eat Christmas cookies? I'm like, yo, my goal is bigger than that. The legacy that I wanna leave for my family is bigger than that. If you guys wanna be great, you gotta do hard things. Right? So when we talk to God and we ask him to be tough, he's gonna put us through challenges that require toughness. We've gotta earn that. It doesn't just happen. So this is the program that I work through. So 75 days, you can jump into phase 1 immediately after. Then you get to wait to jump into phase 2, 30 days. And then phase 3 is the last 30 days of your live hard year. So this required me to have discipline throughout the entire year. It was the most consistent year I've ever had in the gym because I was scared shitless of jumping into the next phase and not bringing it. But I'll tell you what, there was one day, late January last year when I'm more than halfway through 75 hard, and my ass is out on a high school track chanting David Goggins, who's gonna carry the fucking logs? But you know what, it was Friday night at 9 p.m. and I know nobody else is out there doing that. So the amount of levels that I'm gaining against everybody else, like that's the game. That's the game. This program allowed me to attract the right people. Anybody ever watched The Town with the Bank Robbers? You know this scene with Ben Affleck? So Ben Affleck talks to his friend, and he's like, hey, listen, we're gonna go do some bad things, we're probably gonna hurt some people, but I need your help. And he responds, whose car are we taking? So if you guys talk to my team, that's the level that we're on. But without that program, without becoming that leader, without going through those hard things, I don't get here, I don't attract these type of people because they know that I do the same thing for them. But as I'm going through all this hard stuff, obviously went through a terrible divorce, went through a split with my partner at the same time. I lost about $1 million in 3 years. If I didn't break from that shit, I could do anything. So diving through that Live Hard program, like that wasn't an option, but it helped me attract the right people. One of those is my current girlfriend. So what you guys see here is consistency. You guys are like, what the hell? He's holding a glass of wine. Date night, every single night. I get out of the gym every single morning. I read a chapter of Proverbs. We talk about the chapter of Proverbs. We go to church every Sunday. It's consistency. We have the conversations. Our vacations are booked for the next 2 years in terms of where we want to go. We've got the whole game plan. We're on the same page. But it's a consistency of having those conversations. But I'm going to be real with you, 100% real. If your partner at home, if you can't make time for date night, you're in trouble. We got young kids. I got an 8-month-old daughter. She's probably got the cutest pictures on Facebook, selfishly, but we dress up as a little lion sometimes. It's a lot of fun. But you got to have those conversations because if your home life ain't right, your business life is fucked. You ain't getting there, straight up. You got to have a clean home life. Takes consistency. You got to work on it. The next big component, found this guy. People slept on this guy for a minute. He wanted to get started in real estate. He came out of restaurants. He won the Ray Kroc Award at McDonald's. People were like, you're hiring a McDonald's restaurant manager? He knows systems. You know how I found this dude? I'll tell you in a couple slides. Slid into my DMs on Facebook. He walked into my office. I didn't even know who he was. But he consistently put in the work. He had a shit role within the company that was super important, but like real not fun work. But he did it. Showed up every weekend, he did it. Now he's my right-hand man. Like this dude knows more about me than probably Katie in this last slide. Straight up. Whose car are we taking? This is a team that I was able to attract based on what I built. But without working through the leadership KPIs on a daily basis, without working through that Power 5, without working through the Live Hard program, I don't get there. We gotta work on ourselves first in order to attract what we want. This is where I can help you guys out. Now, we got our team Christmas party top left. We got another speaking engagement in the middle. And to the far right, we got the rehab tour. I don't think anybody rocks a rehab tour like we do. That shit crushes. So much fun. We literally go out. Last time we went out to 9 different properties between local investors and 5 of our own flips. And we spit free game for days because there's nothing better than coming out here and talking to you guys and then watching you crush it later on. I look forward to following all you guys on social media and watching you win. I want to help you guys win. Super important. I'll dive into one more. So another big thing that we do, what do you guys know about goals? Who has goals for this year? So this is a major takeaway right here for you guys. This was huge for me. Anybody read the 4 disciplines of execution? Oh, we get a couple. All right, good stuff, good stuff. So before we have our annual goal planning session, we hit the gym. Because I can't just talk about it, I gotta be about it, I gotta do it. Literally, the whole team hit the gym and then we sat down and we all had to lay out our goals for the year. I gotta be honest with you though. Most goals that people lay out are lagging indicators. They're not leading. Here's the best way that I can explain that to you. If your goal is to lose weight and you're looking at the scale, the number on the scale is a lagging indicator. If all you do every day is jump on that scale, you're done. It's not gonna work. What are your leading indicators? What are you putting into your body? Calories, macros, how much you moving? So this meeting was super uncomfortable after we left the gym because everybody had goals. They had lagging indicators, they didn't have leading indicators. Everybody put it all on the table and we helped everybody win. And now literally in our conference room, in our office, there is a whiteboard with everybody's goal for the year. So every time we sit down in that office, we get to see it. That level of accountability will take you guys places I can't even tell you. Bottom right, demo party. I swear, I tell PQ these ideas and he's like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? So we get together on our flips and we break shit and we throw it out. But that builds team camaraderie because most people, they're like, oh, Jimmy can go negotiate a deal. Like, man, no, I can break stuff too. I'll throw the trash bag over my back. Anybody know this guy? Wow, nothing. This is Ryan Stewman, hardcore closer. I just spent a few days with this dude. He's got one of the most incredible stories I've ever heard. If you haven't read any of his books, you should. This dude spent a ton of time in prison in his 20s. Multiple time felon. Second time really wasn't his fault. I've learned more from this dude in the last 6 months than I've learned from many mentors in multiple years. He runs Apex Business Association. So every quarter, I go down to Dallas for 2 days. And the amount of knowledge that I come home with, I call it about bringing back a bag of gold bars. But if there's anything that I can tell you guys is pay to get into the right rooms. I used to just show up to my local reel, which is good, right? $60 for the year. But if you guys really want to level up your game, either build your own mastermind or pay your way into a room of a national mastermind. I know one of the guys local to Boston who owns a Clips Group, I think it is. He's over at Cameron too. He just sent me the invite to join Kent Clothier's boardroom mastermind, so that's invite only. But I slept on paying money to get into the right rooms. So candidly, before I found Ryan, I was in a doorpreneur mastermind with a coach out of Canada. So I had always viewed the property management company as the hub, and then we could vertically integrate and build spokes off of that main hub. My partner used to shoot me down all the time. After I bought him out, within a month I found Tony LeBlanc out of Canada, a man who built 6 different businesses off of his 2,000 unit property management business. And all 6 businesses are between 7 and 8 figures a year in gross revenue. That's the game, right? Once you grow the 1,000-pound pumpkin, like I was talking with Bruno about before, then you can vertically integrate. So in real estate, you guys have a ton of shiny objects that you see. Short-term rentals, mid-term rentals, management. Do you want to be a realtor? Do you want to flip houses? Do you want to burr? There are so many different things. One of the biggest things that I came across early, I came across the author Michael Michalowicz. You guys will see I'm a huge book nerd, right? Michael Michalowicz has a book called The Pumpkin Plan. And he talks about the pumpkins, that the farmers that grow 1,000-pound pumpkins that win the blue ribbons at the county fair. They have one seed, and they water and take care of that one seed all season. It's not a pumpkin patch, it's one pumpkin. And that's how I started with the management company. Biggest takeaway from Apex is build your machine. That's how I got in front of you guys tonight. Literally, this is the play that they run. And I'm actually hosting a Build Your Machine training in 2 nights back down in Rhode Island. But literally, he trains you on how to share your story. I know that a lot of people sleep on social media. They think that you got to send all the mailers. They think that you got to make all the cold calls. But truth is, you got to share your story because people are gonna vibe with that. You're gonna find your crowd. So if you guys follow me on Facebook, it's a daily post. 70% are stories about my life, and 30% are what I'm doing in business. But that allows me to connect with so many people about the things that I care about, so that I can help people about the things that I've gone through. So hopefully, you guys don't make the same mistakes that I've made. But if there's one thing that I can challenge you to do tonight is build your machine. I'm gonna tell you, I was flying to Dallas last Wednesday. I'm sitting on the runway. I've got Young Dolph bumping in my AirPods, listening to trap music, right? I get tagged in a post in Real Estate Mastermind. Anybody in Real Estate Mastermind? It's like thousands of people across the country. There are about 100 comments of what realtor to work with. So I get tagged in it. Kid clicks on my profile. After I get tagged, I send him a DM with a video. So this is low-key hack for realtors. If somebody tags you, send somebody a video in a DM, show me real. Use their name, they're gonna like that. The dude said, hey, based on your profile, I know that you bring game. He's like, I'm deleting the post, I'm just gonna give it to you. Now I have a buyer, a $500,000 buyer in Eastern Connecticut where I'm looking to build my business. But because I spoke that into existence and spoke into the universe, I attract that. Because I built my machine and did the small things every day over time, I didn't even have to close him. He looked at my profile and he knew I was the dude to work with. So like I said, it is worthwhile to pay to get into the rooms. I would strongly encourage you guys to do that because it's gonna take you a lot farther than you could ever think. This is easily my biggest takeaway from Apex. These are core values. So if you guys own a business and you do not have core values, go home tonight and start. First time I pulled together core values, I fucked up. I thought I was being cool. My company's lying. So I typed out Pride Rock and I put it in ChatGPT and man, I could not remember that. I sat in my office for 2 weeks trying to remember that shit. It didn't work. I woke up and I came up with this because this is what I live. Personal excellence, 1% better every day. Respect. We treat the janitor just like we treat the CEO. Integrity. We do the right thing when nobody's looking. Dependability. You can count on us like you can count on the sun rising. And execution. Ideas are shit, execution is the game. The biggest thing here is that if you own a business, this is what you live and die by. And this is how you attract the right people to work with you. So we have a killer team now, but we're looking to grow. The only thing we're holding us back is bringing in the right team. But we're gonna make sure that we maintain the right culture. So I was listening to Tiffany and Josh High. Anybody knows those guys? Big time wholesalers, they crush it. I think they do like 300 contracts a year. Although they do have a massive fallout rate, so I'll call them out on that. I was listening to an interview between Tiffany and Josh High and my coach, and they use their core values to hire by. So if you guys own a business, like listen up here. This is what you wanna hear. You bring someone, you sit them in your room, and most people ask, so tell me about yourself. How awkward is that, right? So now we ask them, who'd you look up to growing up? What values or qualities did they have that caused you to look up to them? So now literally they're sharing their qualities and values that they value, and we're pairing those against our core values to see if it matches up. So literally in the first 3 to 5 minutes of that interview, we know if they're gonna fit. So my challenge to you guys, if you don't have core values, go home and make them. And then go on Fiverr and get a pretty sweet logo. I think I fit a little bit more because we have a marketing company that we use, but it's a little chopped up, but I think it came out pretty good. The next thing, once you have the right team in place, in order to retain that team, you need standards. So we have our code to live by and our core values, but now we have standards, right? So our sales team, this is what they're required to do every single day. And then it gets reported on a scorecard. Because I'm gonna tell you what, this is how it works, right? We talk about who, not how. You need to become the person that's worth working with. You need to have a level of standards. Those A players aren't gonna come work with you if you're not an A player. If you're a B player, you might attract B players, you're not gonna get an A player. This is what you guys really need to focus on. Become that A player and set standards and have them in your own life, attract the right team, and then maintain the standard, right? Scorecards and radical accountability. I'm gonna tell you, we sit down every single day. We have a 9:30 meeting called Closer Circle. We work through a series of segments. Radical accountability. Where did you guys not play well yesterday? Where can we help you get her? What's getting in your way? If you lead a team, don't ask them what happened. Why did you do that? What's getting in your way? You'll be amazed at the responses. That neurolinguistics programming is gonna be game changing for you guys. And that's why we live and die by the code, lying gang over everything. I'm amazed that I bought these shirts as a joke. I thought it was cool and I was kind of being funny, and my team rocks these every day. They're like, can you buy 50 more? Because I built the culture, but I had to become the human that was worth following. I had to become the human that was worth riding with. But I also had to lead by example. So a really cool moment. My little guy's actually upstairs building Legos right now. This is proof I lead by example. And I'm not looking for the pat on the back, but Connor had a half day of school last week. He goes to elementary school in Rehoboth. And he came in and he walked into our conference room and we had all the leftover materials on the table. He's like, Daddy, what are these? I said, oh, we built vision boards. What's that? I'm like, well, these are the things that we want to achieve in life. So I had to go make my calls per the scorecard that you guys just saw here, right? I had to go make my phone calls for the day because he had a half day and I had to pick him up. Then about an hour later, I'm like, oh shit, this kid's too quiet. He must be on the roof of the building, right? He pops in with this. And he could tell you literally every single thing. And you guys probably see M&Ms on there. I do let him have candy. He has had M&Ms. So, but it's funny what pops off the little kids.
I love seeing that post, man.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. It made my day when I saw that post.
But if I'm not leading my team, if I'm not doing these things, he's not doing that. You guys have no idea who's watching, right? We go back to E.T., a real man, when he's in the dark, he's putting in work. Put in the work and lead by example, and you'll be amazed at the outcome. I've never been to WhiteAcre before. I have a lot of friends that have been. I know a lot of people that come to RIAs, and their last thing, they're going to close you on something. I don't believe in that. I believe in leading by example like I talked to you about right here. So my last thing that I'm going to leave you guys with, this is something that I wholeheartedly believe in. What you guys see on the right-hand side of the screen, that's Andy Frisella's creed. Personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion. 1% better every single day. What I would like to invite you guys to do is that's a QR code. Next time I run 75 hard, I want to run it with you. I want to see you win. I want to see you become the best version of yourself. So if you guys are ready, scan that QR code. I got you. Good.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
That was awesome.
No doubt.
Questions? Anybody has questions for Jimmy? I have the microphone. I'll bring it to you when you get first.
Nice.
Wow, no questions. Really? Nobody has one?
In your speech, you spoke about personal development. So what is your mindset when you have failures in your business or setbacks that you didn't achieve?
It was hard to rewire that, right? It's going to sound cliche, but when you can flip this mental frame, life-changing. I had to sit back and I had to leverage my faith and I had to realize that whatever God was putting me through was happening for me and not to me. There's something he's trying to show me in that lesson that I need to learn. The reason why I have an incredible relationship with Katie now is because I had a terrible relationship with my ex-wife. I married her for the wrong reason. I just married the wrong human. But if I wasn't given that cross the bear and that didn't happen for me, I wouldn't value the relationship that I have right now. I wholeheartedly believe that. So answer is, when you go through something hard, that rewire is this is happening for me, not to me.
Anyone else?
If you had to start over tomorrow, $0, knowing everything you know today, completely start over, just you, how would you start?
Yo, I love this. So I know Aaron and Bill. And the craziest shit, when I was flying back from Dallas, I'm standing in the Orlando airport, and I look up and I see this dude. I'm like, holy shit, what are the odds of this? We were literally on the same Southwest flight. So I appreciate you for this question. If I had to start over with $0, I would wholesale. Oh, I thought I heard a noise come out of PQ. I had to look for the reaction. So after I bought my first 4 unit, I started walking the dog for dollars. I was literally joking about it with Connor and Tyler on the way up here because we drove through the neighborhood where my old Ford family was. We stopped at 7-Eleven to get snacks before we drove an hour up to Boston. But I literally used to walk the dog, and I'd put a yellow Post-it note on the door of the house, and I'd put it in my phone, I'd put the address, and then I'd go try to find him. There are free resources online. You go to Spokio, and you get a lot of free information. It's actually pretty incredible. And I think even Spokio is not that expensive. But honestly, from there, it's follow-up, right? So if you have $0, I would start with wholesaling. Because when you find that deal, the money will find you. You would be absolutely amazed at how much money is in this room. Well, maybe most of you guys know, I've never been here before. But I can tell you, I found my first wholesale deal. I put a house under contract for $19,000. It was a 4-bed, 2-bath house in Central Falls. This is in 2013. I pitched that in front of my local RIA. Nobody wanted it until I had this one guy come up to me afterwards. He said, "Hey, Jimmy, that was pretty cool." He's like, "I'm trying to get into flipping. What do you know about it?" I'm like, "I don't really know, dude, but I got this contract." He's like, "Cool, I just inherited $400,000 from my dad." He's like, can I give you the money to buy it and we'll figure it out?" Man, that house was like an episode of Cops every single night of the week. We used to have prostitutes come from the corner bar. They'd kick in the door, do their thing, and they'd sign their name in lipstick on the window until we got a Simply Safe. Holy shit, that thing rocked. Like those cops were at that house, like I couldn't tell you. But one time, I was in the neighborhood, Simply Safe went off, I went over there, pulled up before the 3 cops. One of the cops had a German Shepherd with him. Bill, you're probably familiar with some of this stuff. Maybe not in East Providence, probably not as active. I can remember, a cop looks me dead in the eye, we're standing in front of the house and he goes, "Listen, if anybody runs out, tackle him." And then he, boom, right into the house. I'm like, holy shit, like my heart's ready to pound out of my chest. But find the opportunity. I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew $19,000 for a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house. I don't care how bad it was. Crazy as shit is the dude worked for Mika Insurance. He tried to burn it down on Thanksgiving. Sold it to us in January. Yeah. I can't even begin to describe to you the walls that he built inside this house, but literally he built a column of pallets. Like he took out the fireplace by himself and literally built a column of pallets in the middle of the house and then built additional walls so the entire interior could burn before the fire department would see it. We bought it, flipped it, made $0. Because my money partner on that one wanted to put a sliding glass door in the hood. Like legitimately. We got prostitutes kicking our door, like not a savory neighborhood. But the first contractor that he wanted to go with, we had 2 references of contractors that we knew. The contractor that he chose, that was the cheapest option, took a $30,000 check and bounced. Took us 18 months to get rid of that house. I learned a lot. Learned a shit ton. What else you guys got?
I'm wondering what mastermind group you would recommend, and if there's not one that you would recommend, how would you recommend building your own from scratch?
Start with that first part one more time. I did cut out on that first part.
What mastermind group would you recommend?
Ooh, love that. So this is funny. So when I chose Apex, my team was like, "What?" I love Andy Frisella, right? I listen to the dude every day. I love Arete. I think Arete is a really good group. I think it depends on where you're trying to go. So my decision making between Arete and Apex, Ryan Stewman lives the life that I want to lead. Andy Frisella lives a pretty dope life. If you've seen his car collection, it is absolutely insane. Like it puts Jay Leno's car collection to shame. It's wild. But the first time when I rolled into Apex and Ryan Stewman's talking about my number 1 goal this year is to become the top donor at my church and become a pillar of my community, that hit home for me. That was super important. So those are the 2 major masterminds that I know of. I mean, Kent Clothier has that killer investor mastermind. If you know someone and you have the street cred to get into that, I think it's very valuable. But honestly, I don't think anybody has dropped this here. I have a local mastermind that I get invited into. And I think I'm the last dude in the mastermind to actually speak here, so it's funny that I made it. I don't think anybody else has dropped it. But the first Monday of every single month, I'm talking to all the top dogs in my local market. So it's the 5 other top dudes that are absolutely out there crushing it. None of these dudes make less than $1 million a year. And I get to sit with them for 2 hours every single month and just trade stories. So if you don't find a national one, find a local one. Create your own. And I'm gonna tell you how simple this structure is. I mean, I was talking about Closer Circle, where we talk about, I have my sales team every morning at 9:30 in the morning, and we go through the same regimen every single day. We start with gratitude. If there's one practice you guys get into gratitude. And I'm talking about like before I even get out of bed, I'm thanking God that I have a soft, comfortable bed to lay in. I got warm sheets and I got a roof over my head. That's gonna shift your mindset tremendously. Second component of Close the Circle, we have a CFK rant, so I'm just gonna rant on whatever I'm feeling about for the day. That's a whole hell of a lot of fun. And then the team gets involved too. Last component, we call it howl. So it's a help, opportunity, win, or learn, and you gotta share one. And the entire team shares something. And it's real cool with how vulnerable the team gets with helps. something they're struggling with. So that's one way that you could run the mastermind. Obviously, maybe that doesn't make as much sense. So the other guys that I'm in the mastermind with, what we do, we literally have a timer in the middle of the table, and everybody gets 20 minutes. Everybody gets 15 minutes. And you gotta start out, you gotta share wins, and you gotta share losses, and you gotta share where you need help. Because if one of us is going through something in that room, somebody's already been through it, or somebody has a tool or a skill that they can offer to that other individual. But you only find success in that if you guys are willing to be vulnerable. Don't be scared about being vulnerable. Whatever you're going through, somebody else has been through it. 100%, find who that resource is and see if they're willing to help. So if you don't find a national one, build your own local one, and just find a bunch of badass other people that are crushing it. No doubt.
So you said that everybody has to truly believe in something to go through hard times. And my question is, how did the Bible help you, and how it changed your life?
My grandmother always raised me to believe that God's never given me a cross that I cannot bear. And I lost sight of that for a long time. And actually, here's a crazy story. We're gonna get real religious for a second. This dude right here helped me through something major, right? So everyone's like, oh, he shoots video for you. I'm like, nah, this is my spirit guide right here, and he has no idea. So literally, I'm going through this hard stuff, and I start working with PQ, and I'm like, dude, I believe in the universe and attracting like what you want, and I know that it's just not about thinking about it and sitting through and visualizing it. You actually have to go out and take action against that. I said, but I was raised Catholic. I believe in God, but like based on the hardship that I went through, I lost my faith. I said, I don't understand the relationship between God and the universe. And this dude goes, oh, you don't know yet? And then he just walks out. That was the end of our session. I was like, oh shit. A month later, I'm laying in bed on a Sunday, and I just felt compelled to go to church. I walk into church, and honestly, like, the priest there is like Winnie the Pooh. He kind of sounded like Winnie the Pooh. And we still call him Priest Winnie the Pooh. He's super cool. He drops fire homilies, but I'm like, who is this dude? He gets through reading the gospel, and he gets up to give his homily. And literally, this dude opens up his homily with God as the King of the universe. And I'm like, there it is. There it is. But honestly, like when I think about scripture, God's gonna give you exactly what you need when you need it. If you haven't received it yet, you're not ready for it. And honestly, like my favorite Bible verse is Isaiah. It's chapter 6, lines 7 through 8. When the Lord asks, who shall I send? Here am I, send me. Right? So no matter what's gonna come across your plate, tackle it. You got this. But honestly, dude, like getting back to it, Proverbs. Reading Proverbs every single day, like that is literally the book of wisdom. When you start reading through that, I would say read it out loud. So literally when I get out of the gym, my son's normally still in bed. My daughter wakes up super early, and my wife's normally there, and we're sipping a cup of coffee, and I'll read it out loud. But it becomes way more powerful when you read it out loud and you're deliberate and you have intent with reading it. Something will jump out to you, for sure. But again, it's the small things every single day. Just start reading. He'll talk to you.
Who inspires you the most, and why?
My team. Honestly, Justin's not here tonight. I think he wanted to come. That motherfucker gets me going, man. I can remember we were on a closer circle call, and he's like, yo, I can dumbbell bicep curl 50 pounds. I'm like, no way, dude. Now every time I'm in the gym and I want to bicep curl 50 pounds, I can do like 35, 3 sets, like by 12. I'm like, damn, this dude can't do 50. But honestly, it's my team. Because I know when I wake up and I lead by example, they win at a higher level. If my ass is sleeping in bed, I'm not getting after my things, how can I lead them? How can I share the stories like I just shared with you guys if I don't believe in that stuff? If I don't do that, and I don't lead by example, I can't lead them. So I realize it's not just my family, it's their family and their legacy on the line, and that shit gets me going.
Are there any individuals, history, or living that inspire you from a character perspective?
That's
What
real.
they've done?
That's real good, man. That's really good. I got to go to Andy Frisella. And this is going to get political for a quick second. Andy Frisella has 3 different versions of his show. So he's got Real Talk, which is like that punch in the mouth and you're like, all right, I'm ready to run through a wall. He's got Q&AF, which is all business related questions of like, hey, I'm going through this in my business, how do I get better? And then he's got CTI. So DJ, his bodyguard, says, cruise the motherfucking internet. I don't know if nobody watches it. All right, cool, that was a terrible reaction. Cruise the internet, he talks about all the major things going on currently in America. And guys, we're in trouble. Straight up, we're in trouble. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, we're in trouble because they've coached us not to have the conversations that we should be having. Don't be politically correct. Have the conversations, be respectful. We talk about radical accountability because when you guys sit down and we start talking about these difficult topics that the media says we shouldn't talk about, you're gonna realize we are a lot more similar than people lead you to believe. Andy had the #1 entrepreneurial podcast on iTunes for I think 7 or 8 years running. It was called the MF CEO Project. Without me listening to the MF CEO Project, like I'm not here. That was more valuable than my undergrad at one of the top finance schools in the country, straight up. And he shut that down so that he could talk the truth. And he could literally break apart these headlines in terms of what was happening. And it's not one side of the aisle or the other. It's about being a real human being and respecting each other and having those conversations. So honestly, I'm gonna say Andy Frisella because he has some of the most difficult conversations. That dude gets beat up online.
Aside from the Bible, which, I'm assuming the Bible is, which book impacted you the most in terms of your mindset and where you are today?
That's good, man. You guys, after being quiet, you guys are bringing the questions. Mindset. I'm going to answer this, and I'm probably going to have to come back. I'm going to have to ask you for a social media handle because I got to get back to you on another day. Oh, no? All right. I'll text you then. Because I'm going to go back. I'm going to sit in my office tomorrow. I'm going to look at my bookshelf. But, man, there are a lot. Honestly, I like Patrick Bet David. Like, I think about your next 5 moves, and that was huge. Absolutely huge. Because when you get to the end of the book, there's this Punnett Square. And it talks about what you're driven by. And I'm driven by madness, straight up. So, top realtor in Rhode Island who's now in that mastermind that I'm in, who has made multiple offers to buy my company. 4 years ago, this dude says to me, because his buyer couldn't close on time, he's like, oh, bro, you're just a fucking rental agent. What do you know? And if you've been around me, like literally my team's like, you're just a rental agent. I'm like, I got you. Or Katie says to me, you won't. I'm like, got you. But honestly, that was powerful to get to that end of that book and understand what you're driven by. Because if you understand what lights the fuel to your fire, you're good. So anytime somebody tells me that I can't and something I want to do, I'm going to do it now. PQ.
Speaking of that, what's the benefit of personality tests? Do you
Oh, dude, I meant to drop this in the presentation. I skipped this. So this is crazy. Anybody ever take a Myers-Briggs test? Cool. Anybody else an INTJ? Oh, we got 2. No shit. All right. Okay, cool. So we're weirdos together. I got you guys. So literally, I met Katie in Block Island. So 3rd week of August, every year my family goes to Block Island. I'm going through divorce. I'm going through some stuff. We go down with my mom's best friend. She has 3 daughters around the same age as my brother and I. Then friends for life. They're like sisters. Kaylin's best friend is Katie, my girlfriend. I'd known of Katie. I didn't realize that Katie just broke up with a boyfriend of 8 years. And if you guys have ever been to Block Island or Rhode Island, you're not missing much. There's a whole bunch of drinking and sitting on the beach, honestly, and some good-ass seafood. But the group that we go down with, they only stay in Old Harbor. And honestly, like, New Harbor is a 15-minute walk, and the food is way better. And there's this place called the Ore. So what I don't know is that, and we don't believe in this stuff based on our religion, but Katie was going through a hard time. She broke up with a boyfriend of 8 years. I'm going through my divorce. And she went and she sat down with a medium. And the medium told her, you're going to meet your soulmate in the place with all the flowers. So we're sitting on the beach, and I swear she slid into my DMs. She said I slid into her DMs. And we go to this place called the Ore. And when we rolled up, she had the biggest smile on her face. Because there's a place with all the flowers. They have all the huge bushes out front with tons of flowers. And I'm like, all right, she's kind of into me, right? We sit down at the bar. I talked to her for maybe a 2-minute drive over and 2 minutes at the bar. And she says to me, she goes, "You read a lot of books?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "You believe in personality tests?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Are you an INTJ?" And I'm looking around, I'm like, "Who paid you?" Literally, I make my team take Myers-Briggs. I think it's super important because I know how they're hardwired. I know that my INTJ ass does not do well with ESFJs, just doesn't work. That SF to compare to the NT, it doesn't work. So if you guys understand that on that level, that can take you to a whole nother level as well. But then she dives into it, she goes, "So when I broke up with my boyfriend, I started doing a lot of research on personality tests. And I realized that I am an ENFP. And the golden couple, actually PQ is an ENFP. And then we can get into the Taurus and Virgo and all the other stuff, but all the crazy stuff that you guys wouldn't think I'm into." And she says, "That's considered the golden couple, but I thought I was screwed because ENFPs are 14% of the population and INTJs are 3%. She's like, "I can't believe it." So honestly, like I wholeheartedly believe in that stuff, the personality test. I think it's super important.
How does it help you in your business?
It helps me in my business to protect me from bringing in people that I don't vibe with. So like we're hiring right now, right? So literally if somebody sends me a DM, they're like, "Hey, listen, I want to come work with Lion. Hey, listen, take this Myers-Briggs test." Even before we start talking about the core values, take the Myers-Briggs test. Literally, I had someone that I thought would be a good fit because honestly, I would say prime picking for struggling realtors that are organized because I can bring you to the management business. I can show you how to make a ton of money. And this woman slid in, she was an ESFJ. And she's like, "Sorry, I can't make it." And I told her, I'm like, "Sorry, I can't make it work." And she was so twisted. But I'm like, no, I know the people that I need to surround myself with, right? So we go back to like, I had the wrong partner. I had the wrong spouse. I surrounded myself with the wrong people because I had that childhood trauma to think that I couldn't pull a girl that was that pretty, right? Now I set the proper boundary in terms of the people that I surround myself with, and Myers-Briggs is how I do that in my personal life and in my business.
How did Jesus and Holy Spirit change your mind and your business?
I realized that when I became the person, or I was working towards the best version of myself, and I'm still working towards that every single day, that I get invited, and hopefully this doesn't sound too cheesy or corny, but I recognize that the Holy Spirit now uses my voice and my word to help impact others. So,
What was the biggest thing that you learned from your W-2 that you carry in your business?
oh, bro, this is so good. My last manager at Fidelity, his name was Derek Sullivan. That motherfucker hates me. And I had good reason why. But that dude, he rode me like a rented mule, man. And then I got out into business and I was like, oh shit, I know why Derek did that. He was trying to make me better. But I would say just working for that man, he won numerous awards. And I was honestly kind of checked out at that point. But he always tried to guide me and lead me. So he wouldn't give me the answer. I'm an INTJ, so I want to be super direct. And honestly, if you ask me a question, I want to go super, as you guys can tell with some of the stories, are kind of rambling to fill the whole picture here. I want to go layers deep because I'm an architect, right? Derek would never give me the answer. He'd always guide me. And literally, actually, this is funny. So when I was jumping on a plane to go to Dallas, I walk in and there's an open spot in the front row and I sit down and the dude goes, "You look kind of familiar." I was like, "Where you work?" He goes, "Fidelity." I was like, "Oh shit, here we go." So I worked on the institutional asset management side. We used to price strategies to sell to sovereign wealth, billion-dollar deals, sovereign wealth funds, pension funds. That's what we would work on. I would have to send out an email. So sales guy comes to me and said, "Hey, listen, we got this billion-dollar strategy. Here's our standard pricing. I need better pricing. Can you go to market and figure out where we can price this?" Then I would have to send an email to literally 5 people in the C-suite and convince them why we had to give this potential client this discount. And I had to hit every single component. So it goes back to the personality test too. What is each person looking for? Are they going to be focused on the numbers? Are they focused on the wording? Do they want to read bullet points? Do they want a paragraph? So Derek taught me all that stuff. But I'll tell you what, man, that dude taught me how to write an email. When a client sends me a question, I'm going to answer that question. I'm going to answer the next 3 questions that they're going to have. And they're like, "Thank you." And that's what I try to impart on my team today. Because I know this sounds super basic, but when you get that email, you have to see A, B, then C. Don't just answer A to make that client come back. If you want to really go above and beyond, make sure you see the whole picture.
I'll finish with how can we add value to you? Anyone in this room?
That's really good, man. So the question was, how can you guys add value to me? Honestly, I want to add value to you. I know that sounds kind of cliche.
That's how the relationship starts.
I want to see you guys win. But I would say just adding value, and if you guys give me a follow on social media and share my stuff, if it resonates with you, like that would mean a lot to me. That would mean a lot.
Awesome. Guys, different spin from real estate investing, right? But definitely something that, I mean, we talked before this, and like literally I was blown away for a lot of stuff that he was talking about. And the who, like how he spins it instead of, like literally I told him like, oh, the who, like who's, you know, people around me. He's like, no, the who you. And I'm like, oh shit, yeah. I never thought about that way, right? So those little things, those little shifts can make a huge impact in your business. And I'm so happy that we brought you over today.
I appreciate you guys.
Share this part with you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Continue, so if you need to leave, that's fine, but obviously network, don't talk to everybody, this is open until late, so.